Yes, now ladies and gentlemen, my apologies. I should have made this video days ago. It is Friday. Friday Night SmackDown is tonight. I am yet to do my Raw review. I'm yet to even watch NXT and do an NXT review. So I'm going to do this Raw review right now and get it uploaded this second. And then tonight, hopefully, I can watch NXT. And then tomorrow, get a review uploaded for that. Watch SmackDown, get a review uploaded for that. And then a predictions video. So tonight, maybe we'll get a Raw and an NXT review. And then tomorrow, we'll get a SmackDown review and a Backlash predictions. If not, tonight you'll definitely have a Raw review, and tomorrow you'll have an NXT review, SmackDown review, and then Backlash predictions. I've shot myself in the foot here with being inconsistent, but personal life is especially busy, so you can't blame me, but you will, but it's fine, I don't care. Let's start off the show. Let's talk about the things I'm likely to forget about. The non-title feuds. Rusev, obviously after attacking Alpha Academy 2 weeks ago, and then on his return, obviously, on the Raw after WrestleMania, then last week, delivering a message saying, you know, he used to be someone that had a gimmick, and then he bettered himself, and now he sees all these people with daft gimmicks and whatever, and he's going to better them, but by beating the shit out of them, essentially, and by basically beating into them, making them tougher people, and that's what he's doing to Alpha Academy. So he had his match with Otis, and obviously he destroyed Otis and made him tap. But then even after the match, he kept putting the accolade in on Otis. So I'm interested to see what they can do with Rusev, because I like the idea. Just let's not hope it's just a one-time thing, and let's hope they actually keep it going. And he does this with plenty of low mid-carders who probably need a boost. Do you know what I mean? Rusev could be the guy to elevate the mid-card. Not saying people have to beat him, but he could, you know, get them involved in the storyline and help them express their in-ring talent, which I feel like WWE is already doing, because WWE are now introducing WWE main event, you know, which is cool. Like I just watched the first one that was right after Mania. Ludwig Kaiser versus Joaquin Wilde. I mean, when did you see Joaquin Wilde in a match? Do you know what I mean? Ludwig Kaiser got the win though, but Joaquin Wilde had some moments. And there was the New Catch Republic versus American Made. When did you see New Catch Republic in a match? You don't. New Catch Republic got the win. So there you go. So I like that. So let's keep it going. Hopefully there's a match for Akira Tozawa, but I can imagine that would not be pretty for Akira. And then Natalya was also out there to help comfort Chelsea Green. So Natalya's still on screen. They might be doing something with Natalya and Alpha Academy, but I wouldn't get too excited because it's not likely to go far. Then Grayson Waller was set to have a match, but then he said, actually, you know what, Austin Theory, you can have the match. And he seemed cagey about it because it was a mystery opponent. Austin Theory said, okay, you know what, that's fine. But then the opponent turned out to be Sheamus, and then everyone shit themselves. And then Austin Theory had a good match, finally had a televised match, and he lost to Sheamus, unfortunately, but it was Sheamus' return, so kind of complain, not really. But the whole time Grayson Waller had a guilty look on his face because he set up his best friend, his tag team partner. Now, the whole Will Austin Theory and Grayson Waller feud has been building for years. We're not sure if it'll ever happen, but most seeds are being planted. I hate saying that phrase now because I say it every time, but it's that's what happens in wrestling. You know, when storylines start to get made, seeds get planted, and the storyline needs to grow. These seeds got planted a year ago, and they've just failed to grow. So God knows. But then finally, the other non-title feud, that is the biggest non-title feud right now, is Gunther, Pat McAfee. Obviously, they had a promo, you know, after Gunther choked him out and whatever, which I realised I forgot to talk about on last week's episode, or the episode before that, but Gunther was suspended last week, and this week, Gunther had a face-to-face promo with Pat McAfee, basically. Pat McAfee just got the crowd excited, and Gunther basically threatened to absolutely hurt Pat McAfee. I have no clue why they're doing this, to be honest. I feel like they've made Gunther look weak in the Jey Uso promo, and by putting him up against someone like Pat McAfee, it makes him look weak. But if they have Gunther destroy someone like Pat McAfee, it helps bring out Gunther's aggression and make Gunther look tough again. But also, I think it's a stepping stone to bring in Goldberg, because it was said that Goldberg was going to have his last match against Gunther, and technically it's a dream match because Goldberg is the big, powerful man who would destroy people like Brock Lesnar, and Gunther's a powerful, dominant, traditional wrestler who would probably mix well with Goldberg, but Goldberg in his prime, and Walter in his prime. You know, that was another thing. Pat McAfee, you know, dropped a little hint in there, said, you're not Waltering around anymore. Basically, he was saying he was better when he was Walter, and back then people believed how dominant he was, and now they don't. But anyway, I think this is to build into Goldberg's, feud with Gunther. Like, the planted the seeds back in October, and I feel like the reason it hasn't happened yet is because they've allowed Goldberg a lot of time to train, because obviously we know he's old, he botches all the time. So they've allowed him 6-7 months to train and get ready for this, because it's going to be his last match. Who do I think would get the nod though? I still think Gunther's going to get the nod, and that'll be Goldberg's goodbye, but whatever. But decent face-to-face promo, I don't mind it. Now let's get into the title feuds. So we have Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch, obviously cutting promos on each other. And I mean, the cut promos last week as well, just building towards the match. There's nothing really, anything else left to say for this match. I think, was this the week where Lyra said, you're certainly not a better wrestler than me. She said that to Becky. Regardless, it doesn't matter. I don't like reciting what to say on the microphone. As much as I'd love to remember it, I physically can't. But it's all just building to the Backlash feud. I like it how, Becky said she made Lyra, and if it wasn't for Becky, Lyra wouldn't be here. Because she was the first Irish wrestler, but also she helped Lyra when Lyra was in NXT. And, Lyra, she called her a hypocrite for something, but I can't remember. Regardless, the point of this promo to help build the match. Nothing exciting. No exciting matches. There was like a little scrap, but that was it. In terms of the Intercontinental Championship, Penta is obviously chasing that Intercontinental Championship. He's going to be fighting Dom at Backlash. Penta had a match with JD McDonough because JD McDonough messed up his match last week. There's plenty of interferences. Finn and Carlito were ejected from ringside, but I think Penta ended up getting a win regardless, and Penta's going to face Dom at the pay-per-view, but obviously Dom's going to retain because it's his first title defense, and they're not going to pass the belt on to Penta just yet. Then AJ Styles, we'll see a bit of a backstage promo where he comes to the Judgment Day. He says, "What's up to Finn?" which proves they're still friends, and it's people are a bit excited because there's a bit of Bullet Club heritage there, and AJ was cool with Finn, and then he said he just came to warn Dominic that he's coming for that Intercontinental Championship. And it was quite a cool segment because he's going after Dom, but then he's cool with Finn, and obviously we know Finn has his problems with the group despite being in it. So we know we're getting an AJ Dom in the future, but what they did confirm was AJ Finn for next week, which is banging, because that, honestly, in their prime could be a main event in WrestleMania. Like, it was, their chemistry's unreal. And I believe they've only had one match in WWE, if I'm correct, and it was short notice at like TLC 2017. That was a banger back then, So I'm excited for that match, for one, and I'm excited for AJ Styles being in the feud. Do I think he's going to take the belt, though? No, because WWE, arseholes, joking, they're not arseholes, but they are. Then we had, were the New Day in any sort of match? I don't think anything happened in terms of the World Tag Team titles. As for the Women's World Championship, though, Io Sky did have a match with Roxanne Perez. Obviously, Roxanne Perez and Julia have been bothering Io Sky and Rhea Ripley for ages. And Io Sky teamed up with Stephanie Vaquer on NXT just last week to help beat Roxanne and Julia in a tag team match, which they did. No, it wasn't Stephanie Vaquer, it was Jordan Grace. But Jordan Grace and Julia went off scrapping, and Io Sky and Roxanne ended the last 5 minutes of the match, and they had quite a banger. So this match came back around quite quick, because on Monday Night Raw, now they're having a one-on-one match. Their chemistry is insane. The match was great. Io Sky gets the win. Roxanne looks like she's going to shake her hand at the end of the match, but then Julia comes out and the pair of them attack them. Crowd are chanting Rhea Ripley, but the crowd don't know that Rhea Ripley's not there because she's in Australia doing promo for Crown Jewel, which will be in Australia. So I don't know what they're planning to do with this Roxanne Julia in the Women's World title picture. Are they going to have a tag match between Io and Rhea, and then Rhea will have her eyes set on the World Championship, or will there be a triple threat match for the World Championship where Roxanne Perez and Julia get a shot, or will there be a fatal four-way? God knows, but I want to know what's going on. Clearly, Roxanne and Julia aren't done with Io, and clearly Rhea's not done with the World Championship, but I feel like Io and Rhea are going to get rid of Roxanne and Julia first, and then have a match. They're probably putting off Rhea and Io for a bigger pay-per-view, I'm guessing. So who knows where that's going. I feel like this review is very shit because I've not like got any good things to add, but sometimes you don't have to add things, you know. But there's one thing I can talk about, and that's the main event. So Jey Uso came out, did his thing, and obviously we know he's got a feud going with Logan Paul, but there's not been a match made for Backlash, so that feud's probably going to last a bit longer. Paul Heyman comes out to Jey Uso, you know. You're probably thinking, what's going on here? Jey Uso's in a world title feud. They're not going to put him up against Braun and Seth yet because that's for later on. You know, we're saving that. Paul starts ranting about CM Punk and starts ranting about Roman Reigns, and Jey Uso, despite being in the bloodline, said, Paul, what's this got to do with me? He goes, yeah, you're not right. It's not got nothing to do with you. But what I am out here to talk about is the World Championship opportunity with Seth. And he said, whenever you're ready, you name the time, you name the place. Seth Rollins has earned his shot. Seth Rollins is claiming his shot. And he basically gave Jey Uso free reign of when it happens. Jey Uso then turned around and said, let's do it tonight. And it was confirmed a world title match in the main event that night. Boy, was I pumped, right? Let me talk about why I was pumped. Because I thought, imagine Seth Rollins takes his title. You know, Jey Uso got a lot of criticism for being the Royal Rumble winner, having an awful feud with Gunther, and then beating Gunther as if like now he's just this superhuman. You know, not from the WWE crowd, but from a lot of voices online. It was a bit of a mixed opinion. So imagine WWE gave Jey Uso this moment, completed his story, but then passed the title on to someone serious like Seth Rollins. Plus, Seth Rollins has this new faction going where he's in power and he's saying it's what's best for the future, and then he wins the World Championship and keeps it captive, you know, to help build his faction, help build his story of building a better future. But also, what if Logan Paul gets involved and costs Jey Uso, and then Jey Uso, who's best friends with Sami Zayn, who's feuding with Seth and Braun, are all chasing after that title and chasing after Seth and Braun. We have a big feud going on here, and I thought there's no way WWE would just throw this match together in one night and give Seth the title, would they? No, that's the most WWE thing to do. That seemed so logical in my brain. I genuinely thought Seth Rollins was going to win this match. And when Paul Heyman went backstage to Seth Rollins, they were laughing because Jey fell for it. Apparently by giving Jey the option of when it can happen and making it seem like it'll happen somewhere down the line, they tricked Jey into making it happen that night, and they were ready for it. And that's what they wanted. And this match was a banger. This match could have been on WrestleMania. This match was pay-per-view worthy. Like, back and forth. So many false finishes. Like, we thought Jey was going to retain, and we thought Seth was going to retain. And so many false endings, and people got involved. And Bron Breakker was getting involved, and it looked like, oh shit, Seth's about to win. Sami Zayn comes out to save the day, and then you're like, okay, no, Jey's going to retain. And then Bron Breakker takes out Sami, and then takes out Jey, and then you think, Seth's actually about to win, and Seth hits a curb stomp. Jey's been speared on the outside, stomped. Sami Zayn's out. There's no one to help Jey, so CM Punk comes back and helps Jey Uso retain, you know, takes out Bron Breakker, and then Jey Uso manages to retain. And this match was so back and forth. It was a banger. I was losing my shit. This was the best main event of Raw. I've been saying it for weeks. Raw has absolutely slapped. And while SmackDown not bad, but has not been on the same level. And that's a shame because the world should bleed blue. SmackDown should be the better brand, but it's not. Raw is just undefeated, and it's because it gets all the attention. Netflix pays all the money, and they say it gives all the big stars. And we get moments like this. It was beautiful. Jey Uso, while his feud with Gunther was slow, it made sense as a storyline. And this match with Seth proved that Jey could hang with the big boys in a story sense, in an in-ring sense. And to think, after all that, after retaining against Seth Rollins and having Bron Breakker and Sami Zayn and CM Punk and Paul Heyman involved, he's going to go then defend it against Logan Paul. Not that Logan Paul is not talented in ring, but as a character doesn't fit it, doesn't fit the main event spot. And to be honest, like, I know it's all sports entertainment, and Logan Paul has put some graft in the ring and has been there, has been in the ring for over 3 years now and has earned some flowers. He's not earned as many flowers as the other wrestlers. And while the other wrestlers have grinded for years, they're not getting as many opportunities as Logan Paul. Yes, he's been doing it for a few years now, but it's easier to say when you have the money to pay for a great trainer and you have all the time in the world and all the money in the world that you can help elevate yourself like that. These are the wrestlers that built themselves on the ground, took years to learn to train, took years. And this is because of financial things. This is finding schools, this is locations, this is while working jobs. Logan Paul had every advantage, do you know what I mean? And then that social media presence helps make him a star like that, do you know what I mean? And it's not that he's not good enough for it, it's just I feel like some other people deserve it a bit more, do you know what I mean? I'm completely happy with the stuff Logan Paul's done. I thought his United States Championship reign could have been a bit shorter, and I don't mind him having a world title match, but to be the first one with Jey Uso when we have the potential of what is going on with the Seth feud, it just seems stupid. Do you know what I mean? Logan Paul attacked Jey Uso after the match, but it was off air. Because what was the point in having Logan Paul in that main event scene there? There was no need for him. But they did it off air anyway, just to keep the story going. It's pointless. It doesn't need to happen, is what I'm saying. And Logan Paul's full time, yet he doesn't show up every week. He shows up every couple of weeks. Do you know what I mean? That's his version of full time. That's crazy. Jey Uso's a world champion, and it took him years to get there after being a tag team wrestler, and he's been there every week. Regardless, forget the rant. Forget the rant. Match was banging. Loved that end in a Raw. Loved the episode of Raw. It was a great episode. Great matches. I'm going to shut the fuck up now. God knows when Jey Uso, Logan Paul will happen. Probably the next pay-per-view, if that's Money in the Bank, or if there's another B pay-per-view before that. Jey Uso's retaining that regardless. I can't wait for the day Seth Rollins wins that world title, I'll be honest. Jey Uso's cool as world champion, but I hope it doesn't last forever. I'm sick of these long-ass title reigns, like even in mid-carders and the main eventers all have long-ass reigns. I need a shorter reign, so that was my thoughts on Raw. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.